So when it shows that red on the top left, that means you're good.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the November edition of our Council on Aging meeting. Why don't we just quickly go around the room, identify ourselves. My name is Earl Perlman, I'm co-chair.
Peg Nogara, co-chair. Diane Howell, member.
Elena Brugos, Select Board Liaison.
Jeremy Stoll, Town Administrator.
Carolyn Moss, President and Friends of Mendon Elders. Donna Stein, member.
Carol Co-Trust, Treasurer, Council.
Phil Shipley, member.
Amy Wilson Kent, Senior Services Director.
And Vanderson, Secretary of the COA.
And we just want everybody to know they're being recorded.
Okay, so let's start with the acceptance of the report. We'll start with the secretary's report. 2 minutes just to review it.
Spelling errors.
Good job, Ian.
You always do a good job and you get it out the same day. Kudos to you. That's nothing I could do.
Couple of hours.
Any other comments about the report? Otherwise, could I have a motion to accept it?
Motion to accept the report of November 13th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Oh, no,
Second is
no,
fine.
the report of October 9th.
Right, because today's November 13th. It's last month's meeting.
Oh,
Second page, October 9th, 20.
Yeah,
so 13.
No,
Yeah, today's the
this is last month's minutes.
if you turn the page, it'll say October 9th. On top.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Corrected.
Okay, and I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, treasurer's report.
This report, the COA gift account, there were memorial donations for Paula Perlman, $150. There were expenses for Market Basket, the cake for the Senior Citizen Day event, $78.59. The COA food pantry account, donations were $1,785. 3 private donations of $615. 2 business donations, $250 and $750. A community donation for $170. There were also expenses from Market Basket, $255.15. WB Mason paper stock, $423.51. Town Publishing, $360. Put the flyers in the free press. And that's our report for October 2024.
Okay. Anything you want to add concerning the ledger?
I just wanted to know, I had said not all deposits are posted yet. As of yesterday, some of the October deposits weren't posted, so I emailed the treasurer's office and the accountants. And this happens pretty regularly. So I try to give you accurate information, but hopefully it'll get done today.
Okay. Any comments about the treasurer's report? Have a motion to pass?
Diane.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Amy, director's report.
And then I'll. I need to, in the month of October, we had a couple items regarding the building. We had to call in the electrician, particularly electrical, to fix the lights in the kitchen. And it was, as a result, it's interesting. We also had a fee for cleaning the carpet. James Tobin cleaned the carpet, did a beautiful job, $350, which is right on board. Anyway, apparently he tripped a circuit when he plugged his apparatus into the kitchen. Well, as a result, we lost power, lights, whatnot. So unfortunately, we had to have an electrician come in to fix that.
There was no reset button, no,
No,
Oh, there's no reason. Oh, I was gonna say.
What was his problem doing it?
what's that?
He didn't take responsibility?
He didn't know. I mean, there were supposed to all be 20 amp outlets in there. And there's what, you know how many there are. There's like 7 of them, 6 or 7 of them. He just chose one that, so they could. And he just, when he left, he let me know that, there was an issue. So,
oh, okay, at least you knew that right away.
yeah, it's a flu thing that happened. But I know as of Friday's Veterans Breakfast, I think we're still having a problem with some of the club. I don't know what's going on in there. So, did a lot of coordination in the month of October, preparing for the Scouting for Foods, working with the school superintendent's office, the scouts, making sure everything was on track for, we had advertisements in the newspaper, emails to families through the school system, and that seemed to go pretty well. Let's see it. Let's see. And we'll get to another thing under follow-up programs where it's some of our participants. So that's it for now.
Okay. Do we have any thing from Tri-Valley? I know not you, but.
The only
Along the
training.
agenda.
technically that was November. We had several volunteers and staff get trained last week, which is an annual thing that we have to do now. So but everybody passed, so that was good.
Yeah.
And we'll have all of our certificates will be plastered on the wall in the kitchen, which is how they want it for. Because it's a partially federally funded program, and they apparently sites get scrutinized. So we're also working with the Board of Health to get permitted there, and which is something we had previously had to do previously. So we're going to get permitted. That will be there. We've got our Serve Safe certificate from Tri-Val. We'll be kind of piggyback on that. We also have someone, one of our volunteers that would like to take Serve Safe too, which I'm all for, because we could utilize that too. But no,
That was last week? That you did
last
that
week, yes. So
Okay.
technically it'll be on my November report.
Okay, Friends report?
We had a Friends meeting on November the 4th. There were 18 in attendance at the meeting. The treasurer advised us that the bottles and cans this year have already made $1,600. The Oktoberfest and raffle raised over 3,000. And Dairy Queen from our 3 hours there was nearly 400. Peg gave the Council on Aging report. Peg and Phil gave the proposed new senior community centre report. Amy gave the director's report, president report. We actually have received a participation medal for our scarecrows from the Cultural Council, which is the Three Sisters,
Oh,
which was, yes, I mean, that was fabulous.
it's so.
But it was wonderful. The whole town participated. It was so much fun, and will only be better next year. Everybody who was involved with the Oktoberfest fundraiser was thanked. We asked everybody to please volunteer time on the election day to get people to vote yes on 6. Betsy Edsel is going to head up a nominating team for nominations for the 2025 officers. 2 people are heading up Christmas Fair, which will be held on Saturday, December 7th, between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. We continue to ask for donations of baked goods, crafted items, and pre-owned Christmas decor. And the scholarship committee is going to meet to make a suggestion for the December meeting about the amount for next year. Friends Lunch Bunch continues successful, and Holsting wrote a lot of thank you letters. There are 2 planned Christmas trips. One is to Newport, Rhode Island, and the other one is to New York City, both of which sound spectacular. And we are going to investigate showing some appreciation to the Mendon emergency services for all they do for Mendon seniors. And our next meeting has been changed to December 2nd to facilitate both the Christmas fair and the fact that I think very few people could make it to the December 9th meeting. And that will include it.
Carol, at the end of the meeting, may I have those notes? I couldn't keep up with all that. I usually summarize.
I've got a sum. I'll give you the big.
Great, thank you.
We do the same thing to Joanne Mondor because she has trouble following us. It's too much information to write down.
Okay, let's,
Yes, you can, Jonathan.
Who is going to be supervising the December?
Yeah.
Who supervise?
It's Paula and Joanne.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Paula Malnati.
Yeah.
And Joanne Mondo,
Joanne.
right? We're two good people.
okay, let's go to old business and start with an update on the food pantry.
Everything seemed to go very smoothly. The scouts brought down the food after they had checked dates up at the Clough School. We ended up with 5 tables worth of food. We had 2 volunteers go in on Monday, 3.5 hours each, so 7 hours to check dates for stock. We still have more food still coming in. We had a beautiful donation that came in yesterday. Somebody went to BJ's and just filled the back of their.
How nice.
So very, very nice. So no, shelves look good.
Okay. Phil, you're gonna speak on the senior
Sure.
engine?
Well, as everyone knows, we passed the ballot, lost by 1%. But voters have voted twice, went to the select board, and a decision was made to pass over, the select board's gonna make a recommendation to pass the ballot question at this time. At that time, they'll talk about still, that there's a need still there. Citizens can debate the question of passing over. Because I think the select board will make an announcement saying that we decided to pass over the question for the following reasons. And then they'll go for a vote. So you can vote it up or down. But there's a point of discussion in there in case people want to talk about it. So people are welcome to discuss it briefly. The question of passing. And then I guess ultimately that could be turned down and it could go to vote. But we've gone to the citizens twice, 3 times. They voted it down twice. The select board also asked us to go back and see what was possible. We still have the need. It's recognized the need in town is here. The building's inadequate. The building's not safe. It's not ADD compliant. And we can't support the community. So the committee has gone back, the select board has gone back to the committee and said, can you take a look at what else is possible? Revisit the whole proposition and come up with a cheaper proposal. Or an alternative for some of the functions that are there. Things that were discussed publicly last night at the meeting was the fact that maybe the disaster emergency management not be part of the system, which would eliminate showers and other things that we're looking at. Storage requirements for 125 cars. So we're in a point of looking at some redesign work from the standpoint of location and facility size. They asked us to, we're engaging proposals with an architect and the architect and also the engineering firm is going to be called in, take a look at the current location lot. So there's some questions about what we can do there. And
Are we
also,
staying with the same architect?
at this point, we are. I debate whether we should go out, but he has a tribal knowledge maybe for the next round. The engineering firm will put that out to the one that we know. Probably at this point, we could go out to bid. They're relatively small numbers, I think. They're large numbers will go out to bid. Also, Karen Sipley was asked to do a reevaluation of programs.
And Amy, you and I will be involved in that too. Absolutely. We'll add her
Be a
too.
request to look at, we've already gone through the programs of the current facility and future facility. And we're gonna go over that again to see what the must-haves are.
Parking lot has to be addressed.
So, absolutely.
Right. I brought that up last night.
Right now, it's park maintenance. But that's why we're gonna get an engineering firm to take a look at what's possible with parking. We do have that additional acre that was originally identified next to the center, which is part of the parcel that I think is still identified as the area that they're going to put low-income housing. It's on one map we have.
It's next to it though, isn't it? In other words, the Mendon Senior Center does have access to that.
I'm assuming it is.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
You know, carved it out, you know, right adjacent to us.
And we did ask last night if there was any way we could obtain additional land, even a small amount.
And yeah, that's all part of, if you take a look at surveying, what the highway department uses, as well as what the senior center uses, plus the abutting land. All the wetland conditions need to be considered there, because I recall those when we looked at it. It's surrounded by wetlands, it's surrounded by the town septic system that supports flood. And the well is non-standard, so those things we looked at. Also, North Avenue, we consider a way to too. Because if you tear it down, or if you rebuild there, you also have to pay the cost to relocate, store, and provide services outside. So that'll have to be factored into the decision. We go back to the drawing boards. We still need it. We have to continue to work to solve the needs of the town. I know we're all disappointed that it didn't go through, but the fact that the need is still there, we have to continue. So
I think we all owe a lot of gratitude to Peg and Phil and the rest of the committee for all the hard work and time and effort that they've been putting in.
It was a labor of love. It was a labor. Yeah, we've taken time away from our families and.
well, the hardest thing was actually facing the seniors after these votes,
Wow.
Yeah.
in my personal opinion. But we still have work to do yet. You know, Dave's actually getting involved more. I think I'll let him lead some design effort on phase 2.
Because he built the
He
police
built the
station.
police station, so I'm looking.
Yeah.
And then, Jeremy, you may want to add some.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could. Thank you, Phil. Last night, FinCom voted on all of the articles that have a financial implication for the special town meeting warrant. And their vote to recommend Article 5 was 2-4 against. If FinCom does not recommend voting the article tomorrow, I think that was informed more so by the ballot question rather than the inherent worth of the article. So I just wanted to let you all be aware of that. Second, I know the intent of this group, this board, this community is to go back and redesign and ask again, but I want to be clear that there's not currently an appropriation to do that. We don't have any money to do that. So before you engage any sort of additional professional services, you need to make sure we have the appropriation first.
Our first active point was to get proposals in, criticize it,
To see what the number is
and
that
then
you're
come to
asking.
the select board.
So the select board likely doesn't have that sort of money available to it mid fiscal year. So it is possible, there are avenues, but it's possible that the money wouldn't be available until annual town meeting to do a redesign.
Until when?
Annual town meeting
Talking like next May.
to do a redesign. So you can do smaller slices, there's other options, but I want to be clear that we can't engage in a $20,000 architectural contract without the full funding to begin.
If that's the case, we defer. I think the important thing as the town moves forward is that recognition, and I hope we get the support from the select board and town leadership, that this is still a number one priority.
Does the current architect, is he willing to continue working with you without getting additional money at this
No.
point? No.
I wouldn't do that professionally.
So he's finished.
Well, we call them, also when we have questions, they continue to support us. But if we look at an architectural study and do it correctly, he has to outsource his costing, but he has expenses that he incurs. It's not, and I think we've received whether or not, professionally, I wouldn't do it. We have to step up.
Dave and I had a conversation last Wednesday about next step sort of thing. So I think administratively, we have an approach on kind of showing, I think a lot of the work needs to be showing why certain things don't work. Because anecdotally, a lot of the questions that I got, in addition to just general cost, where why not expand in place? Why not use 8 Morrison Drive? Why here? And I think the presentations that I saw, and I came in very late to this, right? I saw the May annual town meeting presentation, but I wasn't part of the community until July. But the presentations and communications that I experienced didn't include why those alternates didn't work. So I think the town is going to have to spend money on evaluating processes that I think this group and the select board think are less than optimal. Just to prove, not just to prove, but to illustrate to folks who aren't as close to the issue as you all are, that we did our due diligence on alternatives. And really the best course forward is what we have or what we will present. So I think that's where some of the money is going to be.
I would just like to say, I think those things were addressed the first go around, maybe we didn't
They were,
include them the second go around, Morrison Drive and
Okay.
why
Yeah.
the other locations.
Well, I think we did address some of them with the frequently asked questions. Why was that site chosen?
And
We beat that to death.
and we did an on-site visit of Morrison Drive.
we would visit each site. yeah.
Sites.
We did a lot of due diligence, maybe we did that.
Yeah, that's what I tried to couch my comment in, that I was still getting these questions from people. So,
Right.
and I know that this question, I read minutes back in 2018, 2019 of the group together, and they're evaluating different sites, and I know the work had happened. But if I'm still getting questions in August and September of 2024 about this narrow thing, then even if the work's done, the communication needs to happen, right? Because if you lose by 80 votes, if you lose by 79 votes, that's only 40 votes you need to flip. If 40 no's become yeses, that's 50% plus one for you. So if you can get to a few more people, I think those marginal activities help.
Yeah, I think anything we can do.
The blanks bothered me to have 181 blanks. Oh, I would have thought somebody would have made a decision.
But, as Jeremy said, I think, we have the town's support to go forward. The latest is happening. We have time to do due diligence. Me coming from private, going to public, what drives me crazy is all the studies, re-studies and studies on studies and spending money. But I will go with the flow. And we will do what we need to do to get this moving forward. The need's not going away.
Mhm.
Population is growing. In our analysis, we'll take a hard look at what we provide the services. When we provide them. In a sense, what I want to do is, in our first meeting, when we look at the analysis, is clearly articulate what the goals of the operations are. What's our primary goals? And that goes down into, the socialization aspect, the nutritional aspect. We've got to drill down and say, we need to do these things. What are the obstacles to achieving this? And then we'll go into, that'll be a brief summary. Probably will add something to the flavor of why this fits into the town master plan. We talked about it, but we haven't linked it back to page and document. So there's a ton of work to be done. Obviously, the committee will look at talk to each member privately to see if they want to continue on. This has been 2 years worth of effort. They may or may not want to, and that's perfectly fine, but that'll be an individual discussion. And then we'll present that back to here and also.
Okay.
Did you say earlier that at the meeting, the November 18th meeting, that the select board recommends passing over the question, but did you say there was going to be time for some discussion?
The select board has not yet recommended passing over the question. There was discussion at the November 6th meeting among select board members that was an option. And that was a kind of non-voted consensus. But the select board hasn't they've made an indication, but not a vote to pass over.
Okay,
And so at the November 18th special town meeting, there will again be discussion on passing over the article or not. And then, like Phil said, it's an up and down vote. I don't know the majority requirements to pass over an article.
I think it's just majority.
I think it's majority too. Because you're not expending money.
I mean, so we didn't vote, but there was general consensus that one of us would make that motion. But it's not our decision to pass it over, it's the town's it's the voters' decision to pass it over. So, yeah, so one of us will likely make that motion, and then there would be that room for discussion about why to pass it over, which, I see as it, was voted down at the ballot. But, and that we feel that Mendon needs to, to address the need, Mendon needs to figure out a new plan. So, probably better word than that, but I mean, I'm likely to make such a motion. So like, cause it will be me, like it's the select board article. So it would be the select board making the motion to vote on it. So it would be, a select board member making that motion to pass over as well. But yeah, we didn't vote to pass over it, but there were no voices saying, no, we shouldn't pass over it. So, there might be, right? There might be. So that could be like I could make that motion to pass it over and somebody else could add to the discussion and say like, no, I think we need to vote on this. And then, so that it could happen.
It could happen, but alternatively, we talked about the studies and restudying and repositioning. I've asked the select board and we continue to do so, to take a look at that drawdown, when it's appropriate time to bring a capital program size in. I know it's a changing,
2031.
maybe that's what we do.
That's when more debt drops off.
And if that's the major problem, and maybe we work on federal funding, maybe do some other things. But we can't cause that debt area drop off the minimum ones with additional capital programs. Funding programs. That essentially happened to, as a voter, I would vote against it. Doing that because we want to. I don't mean that. What I mean is I would be deeply disturbed if the priorities of the town shifted dramatically year to year.
Right.
And not recognizing the need for the seniors. An alternative would be a major investment in the face.
I think what the town is hoping for, or what the select board is hoping for, is to have a long-term plan to fit in all of the capital needs, knowing that, right, I think, Jeremy, you said this, like, we can't, what is it, like, you can have anything, but you can't have everything. But I mean, maybe we can have all the things, but not all at once, right? Like, even if it's a, 10-year plan, 20-year plan. So that's, I think that's the hope. And I think that's an important aspect of the communication about any of the projects, is to how they all fit into the big picture for the town and for the town's future.
Yeah, I think we were the leaders in trying to get some of this done. The town has stepped up in the past couple of years to really look at 5-year planning, 10-year planning. As anybody's lived here, we always know Mendon's reactionary. We need something now because the roof caved in, or the schools got decertified, or we have to send our police people we arrest to Milford because we can't put them. Those were the crises that happened. The town management is really trying to figure out a way to look at all these projects. And I applaud that, but it may cause a delay. We in this room may not see the completion of this.
That's what I was, 2031 is not palatable to me. I mean, it just isn't. We have been working on this over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we're already bursting at the seams, and parking is very dangerous. Is it going to take somebody getting hit by a car crossing the street? If you're going to hold off doing a project till 2031, we're going to have to go and ask for money to make improvements in where we are. And in a way, you're just using the money as a Band-Aid solution, unless the final outcome is up on North Avenue. Because that will only add value to the building that we're in now. But a parking lot has got to be tantamount, and getting to the second floor.
There are two issues. There's the issue of the building and the need and a design. And the other issue is to maintain a budget and requirements for the senior center to operate on an annual basis. One of the senior center requests, I would think, a capital request, because we're looking at the public parking, improved parking situation at the current location. Another request would be the proper egress, so that you have 2 exits out of the building in case of emergency.
And access to the second floor.
And access to the second floor that's wide enough to accommodate emergency activities and medical. So those kind of things you request.
Mhm.
They have to be approved singly by the select.
They're going to be Band-Aid
But
solutions.
the budget should reflect the needs as we make all these decisions, and they can be mapped in. So maybe we figure out a creative way to make 31 become 27 or 26 or 28. knowing that we have all these other capital expenditures that would impact us anyway. But that's a big picture. That's more than just a little bit. That's taking a big picture view of not only the senior center, but other things in town. We need to look at other opportunities, other buildings or other departments need things. Where can we get synergy and where can we fit in? And maybe there's a combined project, who knows? But again, I go back to my earlier statement, the town is at least addressing what's beyond tomorrow's view. We're looking, trying to get to a 5-year plan, trying to get to a capital plan, trying to look at synergy. What do we do with all this property here? And again, I go back to the town. We need to look at creative ways of financing. Like, I still think we have acreage we could probably begin to rezone out of conservation in anticipation of sale to help support this.
I don't think there's a big palette for taking stuff out of conservation restrictions.
I understand.
What?
I don't think there's a big appetite for taking land out of conservation.
There may not be, but there's not. But I mean, we gotta weigh the priorities of the town.
I think we've covered as much as we can for this meeting here.
Tons of work needs to be done yet.
Right.
We're still committed to solve the problem because it's needed.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Jeremy for coming and for his input today. We are now going to talk about some follow-up programs that we had at the senior center.
Wasn't at the center, but, and I apologize for not including it here, was that
Chili.
chili program.
Thank you,
offsite
Donna.
Garrison speech.
Thank you,
so
Donna.
much to
That's from Chile.
Betsy Edsel and Karen Mills. It was definitely organized this year. It seemed like there's a little bit, there was more space for people that were coming to enjoy, but the people that were actually had that, there was less space. If you know how much.
Yeah, we did it last year.
It was very, very tight. There was one long line of tables where all the presenters were standing behind, so you had to walk around people to get out. I think there were 12 chilies in total. I'd say it was a lot of effort for maybe just a little return. I think they were thrilled to have us there, but I think maybe our energy could be spent elsewhere.
Wasn't the voting different too this year?
The voting was different. They had people vote 1, 2, 3, and I don't know how they tabulated it in the end because it's very interesting, the chilies that were chosen. The one that was chosen, I think second, was, I consider it a stew, not a chili.
Oh, no, yours was.
Yeah, yes, Phil and Karen were there. So, some of the seniors did come out that day. It was a beautiful sunny day this year as opposed to last year. It was a freezing, cold, rainy day. But again, Donna, thank you so much
Yes.
for taking that on. You didn't hesitate. You volunteered right away. And Betsy and Karen, it was great to have them too. There. The Halloween hat party and music bingo, which the Friends sponsored the music bingo portion of it. We thank you very much for that. It's very popular. And we do a simple pizza and salad luncheon, thanks to our volunteers. We did increase the price from $5 to $7 for participants. We ended up with $4 left over. And so that money can go towards creamers or something else, but I know some people are like $7, but pizza's gone up.
That's right.
Pizza's gone up. And we had, people
Well,
enjoy.
They got dessert, they got drinks,
Yes,
candy,
yes.
pizza, salad. And that was a deal, $7.
It was, I forgot about the candy and that. Veterans Appreciation Day, and I want to thank Jeremy for coming, and my apologies for not officially inviting you. But it was great to have you there and have you address everyone. It was well attended. Again, we're tight on space. We could not send out invitations to the 275 veterans, obviously. So we focus on seniors. We do make calls to seniors. Seniors going to come before that maybe they have, we put it in the newspaper, we put it in the senior newsletter. Would love to be able to invite everybody, but just can't. Now, the Police Association is our primary sponsor. What I want to ask from COA is, in the past, we've had other sponsors who've sponsored the prizes that we've, or the gifts that we've given out. We did not have them this year. They've fallen away little by little, and they've informed me. Last year, M&M Medical spent $400 for all the gift cards and said, this will be our last year. They've been co-sponsoring it for many years. So this year, I asked the Friends Assistant, so because of the timely manner, I went the Friends funded the certificates, I would like to ask the COA to partner with the Friends 50/50 on that, as we
Mhm.
often do. with the
Absolutely.
COA gift account.
Mhm. Yeah,
So that would be $200.
it's all right.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if you need to vote on that because it's going to gift account.
Probably. You want to make a motion?
And so it would be $200
From a gift account?
payment to the Friends.
Yes. I'll make a motion that we take $200 from our gift account, put through for the certificates for the veterans.
Yes.
I second the motion.
And all in favor? Perfect. Thank you all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I think, very nice event. The minstrels did a good job. Space was our biggest issue, you know, and thank you, Diane, Diane was our leader. Diane
What was your attendance this year?
32, 30. You,
I think it was about 32. What I also could remember was that it didn't seem to be as crowded as last year, which I was so appreciative because I was able to get around to the tables and things.
I just noticed, on the Facebook, you seem to have empty spots at all the tables, and that's what I noticed on the Facebook.
Well, I think that picture was taken early. I don't even know who took the
that
picture.
was Nick.
Nick, okay.
Yeah.
That was like when people first started arriving, because when I came to sing, and
We were set up.
It was full.
it was full, yeah, and Carol was in the kitchen working.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
It was full.
Yeah, every seat was taken and I had to, but I was able to walk around and get around all the tables and talk to all the veterans, which I had wanted to do, and to give them their
card.
And last year we had a lot more volunteers too, which is difficult. We had some of the police officers, their spouses came to volunteer. We also had the scouts, the Cub Scouts came, and now granted, they led the Pledge of Allegiance and then they left. But still, yeah, it did seem much more crowded last year, so we made it work,
And the
yes.
Girl Scouts made a beautiful banner.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
beautiful banner.
And
They
we'll-
made cards.
Yeah, that
we
was
will
nice.
pull that up and we will use that.
Yeah,
again. And
yeah, it was
cards,
very
they made a
touching.
card, and they did that kind of last minute. They've been pleading with me. They used our center twice a month and they said, Amy, what can we do for the center? They plant the flower boxes in the spring. And I said, we didn't have the scouts this year. The Cub Scouts last year made cards for everybody. So I asked them to make cards. I didn't ask them about the beer. The beer was beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
That was
So,
nice.
And the center was decorated nice. You put up the
yeah.
red, white, and blue curtains and everything. Yeah. I thought it was a very nice program.
Everything went through. Okay, going to talk about the volunteer appreciation, I guess, with the 50 stand.
So Peg actually came up with that idea. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we were thinking of like a sock hop type thing. I think you're on the committee, you're on the committee, you're on the committee, and me. That's not till next May, and we've had other priorities we've been
You
dealing.
got costumes for that too?
I probably do. It's probably my wardrobe, because since I've retired, I haven't bought a thing. Yeah,
One performer used before, we don't have to use him for but he was able to quickly put in an application for Elvis and other, I told him what sock hop thing, he said, this is an excellent program for that. So if you want to run with it, I think it could be a lot of fun. Singing for menus, we could do little sliders, like think of
it's Bob, it's a,
No, the New Year's Eve.
oh, that's the New Year's, sorry.
The
Yeah,
Western,
yeah.
we haven't come up with that yet.
Yeah, that's your Western theme.
right,
So.
that's the Western thing.
Yeah, but I think we've got time, but I think it could really be.
How about if we have like a thing like at the diner? or something?
That's why I was thinking of sliders, milkshake sliders.
Yeah,
That's what phones can.
Yeah. I-
that's gonna be Earl. That's gonna be Earl. I've seen the hippie pictures
The
of
leather jacket,
the poodle
Look
skirt.
at it.
We'll work on it
It's coming together. So an application did get put in
for him.
for the
Okay,
cultural council.
excellent, excellent.
Okay, next item is reviewing dates and food for the upcoming program.
Tree trimming, and on Thursday, the 5th, I'll have Wade, put our tree up before then. Janet Ahern has promised that she will play, she basically plays, Christmas music carols. She'll do it in the morning while people are decorating, in the afternoon while people are decorating, and we'll hopefully have some kind of a farewell for her. Maybe a card signed and, maybe a gift card or something.
Could we have a cake for her?
I'm sure. Yep.
Is she moving?
Yeah,
She is
Plainville.
Plainville. Yep, size from Blackstone Street. And the next one, the holiday dinner, Ferrucci's, generally we kind of tell him what we like and he kind of runs with it. And what we've liked in the past, if there, anything to do with chicken where it's one cutlet because it's
Mhm.
easiest to serve rather than,
Absolutely.
a Marcella, which is, you want to make sure everybody gets the same amount. So they have agreed to sponsor that. I'll talk with him and see what we need. We've got the date, so because of the date, we're gonna switch this meeting to the 4th.
Mhm.
Thank you for your willingness to do that. Misco Hill Courts, this will be, they've come back several times. They're wonderful 6th graders. That'll be on Thursday, the 12th. No food is necessary, but we could probably have something, something light, snacks or something. Maybe some punch, I'm not sure.
Do they get on the bus right away and go back?
Yeah, they do. It's quick. They're gonna be between us and Upton. And I think we've got them at 10:30. I apologize. I didn't put the time down. I believe it's 10:30.
Oh,
So it's quick and.
maybe
they,
maybe I could work with Paula on having a little takeaway thing for them to
Well,
take
for
with them.
them, what we usually do is candy canes. I usually
Oh,
have
okay.
permission. Someone.
Just give them
Or
something.
someone stands at the door and hands out candy canes.
Mhm,
Some, they make fruity flavored ones now and. Because that way you don't have to worry, either they can have it or not, and you don't have to worry about what was it made out of, ingredients now.
And then also getting the bus all dirty. Well, like if you made a little cupcake, they're eating cupcake. and
Did you ever get the bus dirty?
I probably drove bus. I had to clean it out every.
Good one, Diane. Good one.
We have the Midget Minstrels on the 19th of February, and that
Ah,
is.
December.
When I checked.
December.
December.
I'm sorry, December. When I checked, Tri-Valley did say that, that is supposed to be their Hollywood. Holiday.
You worked too long last
I
night.
did, I was there too late, their holiday meal, and, so hopefully it'll stay with that, because they usually do a nice job. It's usually made, a stuffed chicken, and, there's usually a special custard or something. We could certainly embellish it too. Now, jumping to the minstrels for next week. We'll have the menu planned. It's just been so much going on.
Do you want to do wraps or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We did ham and ham, beans and potatoes, which is really sliced ham, and that's pretty simple. Want to do wraps, we can do that too. I could look at the cost, but hams right now are on sale.
Okay.
I bought one the other day,
Yes.
40% off. So,
I was working the kitchen that day. That's your first thing.
That's special events, but I have to pull out, ask folks for special events to come in,
Yeah, because if it's a cooked ham and you're just warming it or glazing it,
just lazy.
and it's already like a spiral if it's already
It's easy.
done.
And I'm hoping if Janet does a beautiful job slicing it out just appropriate so that everybody has, 1 or 2 small slices.
Well, go with, make your life easier.
Okay. All right. And Diane's in charge of New Year's celebration.
And I'll help you.
I'm gonna give that over to you.
Okay, we've already spoken with Chris, who is our DJ, told him that we're having, a Western. He goes, okay, he would come up with some music and send it off to me and give me choices. I have been thinking of going over to Bellingham I know what the place is, I keep forgetting the name of it. The barbecue place on 140.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know
go
what you
there
mean.
and get a copy of the menu and everything to start
Nice.
looking at to see how much it's going to cost us and if we're going to have to increase the price or whatever. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be able to keep the $5 to $7 per person. And it should be fairly easy for attire. People were questioning, well, gee, what do I wear for this?
We've got the cowboy hats from one of our other things.
And I'm sure everybody has jeans.
Yeah.
Won't take the jeans
We
off.
had some
Velcro.
Yeah, bandanas. We had bandanas. And because we've had that already, we have some decorations down. We should have some decorations downstairs. And we can get lights and stuff like that and Oriental traders. You and I'll talk about it. Sure. We'll get all that ahead of time.
And the Friends are sponsoring Chris, DJ Chris.
Thank you,
He's
friends.
a little bit more expensive because you asked for him for longer.
Everything is.
11 to 2.
Okay.
And worth every penny. It's
He is very good.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been very busy. That's good.
Okay,
Before we jump, any, need any,
So.
tell me what you need.
You'll be cutting up
I
ham.
don't pass my certification, I can put.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, yeah.
Serve.
Yeah.
People. you know, such as yourself, head jumps in, you know, and you do too. And so really appreciate that, but, yes.
Yes. On the list.
And that's served.
Okay, new business. We're going to be discussing emotional support animals, and in the back of your papers here, there's a whole thing on emotional support animals.
In the area, and, I've only gotten one response back so far, and then it depends, this was last night, I sent it out. So this one in North Brookfield, she says, by law, we cannot ask if the animal is service or emotional support. If the animal cannot be controlled by the patron, they are asked not to bring the animal into the center. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't see that when I went to the mass.gov.
Right, because a service animal is protected under the ADA.
Yes.
We have to provide a reasonable accommodation.
Yes.
We have to know that it's covered by the ADA to provide the reasonable accommodation. So I think asking service animal versus emotional support animal may be a policy of that person's community, but it's not my interpretation of what our
Right.
expectations are.
So.
I mean, for the town of Mendon.
Yeah, so Amy asked me that there was a request or trying to head something off and be proactive about it. I'm not quite sure about allowing service or allowing emotional support animals within the senior center. It's kind of a tricky situation. I know that some folks, myself included, don't really want to go in an enclosed space and there'd be a dog there. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't capricious, me saying, nope, no dogs, that it was a thoughtful kind of discussion on setting a policy for the senior center, what the council wanted, what Amy's opinion was on what would be useful. And, you know, there may be, maybe you can put in restrictions that events over 20 people, we can't have animals inside or something like that, thoughtful. So you have a set of rules in place before somebody shows up and we have to make a decision kind of on the spot. So that's.
In between, I missed that discussion because it was kind of, but I did read, and I've forgotten where, that emotional support animals by insurance are covered under the ADA. Not emotional support, the.
Service.
Yeah,
Sure.
Oh,
service.
yeah, service would be.
So I would ask, we just check the insurance liability potentially, something like that. Because what I read was that if emotional support are not covered under the same American disability.
And that's very good, the very first paragraph, it says that.
Yeah, that they're not covered.
Can everybody speak up a little bit? I don't
I'm
know if I'm losing my hearing, but.
No, you're not.
You know me, I'm overjoyed, I sit next to you.
I think, and I think what Bill's getting at, it's a good point. One that I didn't even take this angle is if a service animal does trips somebody, whatever, and there's an insurance claim afterwards, we're covered, right? It's a thing that we had to do to have the service animal here. But if an emotional support animal is the same sort of creating injury or harm to something, then we would not be covered from our insurance perspective because they're not an animal that we have to allow by right. I think
that's, and that's the essence of what I read. Did a quick look at them.
Also, you might have somebody who's allergic to the particular animal. So what takes precedent? The person who has allergies and so won't be able to go, or the person who won't be able to come to lunch because they can't come unless they bring their animal? I mean, they're both medically good reasons. I don't think that this answer should come from us anyway. I really don't. It should really come from the health department, wouldn't you think?
we can, what I was sensitive to was to impose something on the group where, you know, you could say we've had emotional support animals for decades and it's never been an issue. And then I come in and say, nope, we're doing this differently. Listen to me. I was sensitive to not do that. So if you would like some direction from a code perspective and insurance perspective, I think that's a good note. I can come back with a.
I still don't think it's our final decision though, is it?
I don't think so.
I think it's under the state guidelines. Where I work, we've been seeing more animals come. Some have a vest on, some don't. It's.
And when I worked in, over at, wherever I was working over there, the thing is that people would come in with their dogs and I couldn't go pet them. I love dogs. I won't pet any dog, you know, but, I couldn't go near the dogs or anything, but the dogs would come to me. And one lady would always come in with her dog and say, go visit your person now. And the dog would come over and I'd be able to pat the dog and everything. But knowing that I shouldn't be, but still, I was told by the person that was disabled that I could pet their dog.
And in this particular case, we're dealing with food.
Yes.
We're dealing with the dog being at the lunch table,
Yeah, it certainly can't be in the kitchen area at all.
or even in the
Well,
kid, I'm talking about
dining
sitting
area.
at the dining area.
Can I say?
Yes,
I was sitting at the table, dog was sitting with the disabled, with the person who needed her emotional support, and she was taking food off her plate and feeding it down to the dog. No,
I mean, that's where my initial comment on this comes from. I'm reflexively skeptical. I think it's the phrase I use. I'm reflexively skeptical of emotional support animals, service animals, right? Guide dogs, for blind, for folks with seizure, with epilepsy, all those sorts of service animals is a different category entirely. And not, I want to make sure we're not conflating the two. So on the emotional support animals, I think they have a varied reputation in terms of how well behaved and useful they are in public, at least. So all right, I'll take notes from this group and talk with both insurance and Board of Health, but we can craft a policy townwide that's not specific to the senior center.
that would be,
And also it should be, something should be included, what animals can be social support. I mean, some people have ducks and pigs and whatever. I mean, no.
He's right.
Sounds like lunch. Just, I thought it was ridiculous. You cannot take your emotional support swan with you.
and then from what I'm hearing is that this animal carries on something terrible when she's not in her apartment. So who's the emotional support? Is she the emotional support for the dog or is the dog for her?
Yeah, and that's certainly not the town's responsibility.
all right,
Thank you all.
Okay,
The final conclusion here is.
Jeremy's gonna look into
We're gonna
it.
create a townwide policy that will apply to the senior center, and it will be the same in all buildings,
Okay.
with variations for, food service and.
And the
Townwide
and the Board
policy.
of Health, you're gonna have the Board of Health weigh in on it
he's
too?
gonna check with all the towns.
All right.
And it'll be a townwide policy, not only for the senior center, but for all the agencies.
So generally, are no animals allowed inside the senior centre at the present time?
We,
Service animals would be, we had service animals.
But only service animals.
well, yeah, because we have to do that. We have to do that.
Has this become a regular concern?
We've been asked, we've been presented with documents for showing that this animal is a support animal, emotional support, and this is why they should be allowed to come to the center.
Yeah.
I know something to consider is there have been programs that bring animals in so that
Yes.
a policy should, because like there's like the Tutors with Tails program and.
Right at the library, at the library.
So, right, so I'm sure this took that into account, Jeremy.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, pen pal program.
Just, we had feedback at the veterans program, maybe what's the start one of those. So we're looking to start that in January. That was something Peggy and I could discuss. It's so much going on.
Is Cheryl still gonna run it
I think so.
with Susan?
I don't know about Susan.
Okay,
I don't know about Susan. It's because those two, Susan was because, originally we were gonna go through the Franklin School.
That's right.
And she had a grandchild going there, and we're not using that school
okay,
anymore.
so we'll assume it's just Cheryl right now.
But we'll need a second person to do that with her. And it's a small one. It's only 15 Girl Scouts, so. And we've already got a list of, I want to say 12 people signed up originally, so we can touch base with them again to see if they're still interested.
Good.
But it's not just as that, several folks have that. It's wonderful. People are looking forward to it.
Okay, and I see there's a couple more things on here on the new business, the budget.
Yeah, Jeremy, can you speak to the FY26 budget? Please?
Sure. So I met with this board once before. I've talked to community groups before. My background's in municipal finance. So I was the budget director or CFO of state agency, budget director for City of Attleboro, and budget analyst. So I've worked on a lot of municipal budgets before. My approach and so first of all, kind of timeline. I'm doing revenue stuff right now, revenue projection stuff for the select board right now. I'll have a memo that goes out to department heads next month or early January that sets up times for all of our department heads to meet in January and February. The governor's budget comes out in late January, so we have a sense of where some of our revenues are. My approach with department heads is to be really maximalist to begin with. So I would expect, narrow to senior center, I would expect my conversation with Amy to say, and with the fact that we don't know, it's a different discussion based upon the ballot question now, right? If we knew we were going to go build something, we would have kind of a smaller, how do we get through the next 2 years? We're not going to plan that way right now. We're going to plan, we have to get through, a 5+ year horizon here. So I would expect the request from Amy to be, improvement wise, large, and then they're all not going to be funded. Money's finite, right? But I want the report that goes out to the town to say, Amy requested the world, select board, recommends 3/4 of that, and then what actually gets approved later on. So we have this narrative of department heads and constituencies advocating for their own needs, and we can kind of see in a narrative sense, where that did or didn't happen. My expectation for fiscal 2026 is that we had a lot of what we call free cash, a lot of surplus left over as a result of last fiscal year. And some of that is some one-time stuff, so we're buying some one-time things. But some of it's more structural in nature, some of it's recurring that I think we can plan for a little bit better. So the fiscal 26 budget will include some of those structural increases. So we have some areas of growth, and I expect Amy to advocate for the senior center, and have that, as Phil said before, fall in as a holistic approach. I will also say that we did an organizational design study with the Collins Center, and coming out of that was the recommendation for an assistant town administrator position. So I have 18 or 19, depending, direct reports, which is like too much. So we're trying to get a couple of layers of kind of roll up mid-level sorts of management. One of those will be in inspectional services, doesn't impact here, but the assistant town administrator for operations is going to kind of bring together a lot of our social services departments. So things like human resources, library, council on aging, recreation programs, those all kind of roll up to this new position that we're hoping to, I'm going to request to be funded in fiscal 26. So that means that you'll have kind of a mid-level advocate for social services needs, things like that. You'll have another person to help you, do kind of your budget projections going forward. You have another person to help with administering building projects and assisting your capital plan and all of that. So none of that's funded yet, but I wanted to let you know that that's our anticipation, is to have this kind of extra level of resource for the department.
Now, I happened to see the Arbor money and where it went, and we really weren't included in that. And I understand it was because everybody was waiting to see what the vote goes. But my understanding is there's like $200,000.
There's 56,000.
$56,000 left. Any chance of us obtaining any of that money?
You got 8,000 of it.
What did we get? 8,000? What did we get?
Money for a new stair lift to the second floor and for a new refrigerator.
Both of which have to be under contract by the end of December.
Yeah.
So
there's still 56,000?
Right, correct. The select board's interpretation at their last meeting was to kind of keep powder dry, so to speak, until after special town meeting. That should any of what have been deemed at the time free cash were identified as uses of free cash, if those articles failed, select board has the second opportunity to fund that with ARPA funds. But if there are one-time projects, not ongoing services, if there are one-time projects that fit under that cap and can be in an executed contract by December 31st, propose them to my office and we'll take them to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Is the back deck on the building, is that safe?
It hasn't,
Because that question does come up.
nobody's come down and told us it isn't. We even talked about replacing it when we first started with Mike, like 5, 6 years ago. And we were told basically, don't put any more money into the building, such as we talked about.
Right.
Toilets.
Right.
That,
But
that,
that deck stairs does not appear to be safe. And that's an exit.
We never encourage anyone to go out
No.
there.
No, we always stop, don't go out there. It doesn't, it's
That's right.
really, that needs to be looked at seriously.
Before the gazebo, we used to grow out there.
it was just too hot, remember that? The sun
Have
was
the
too hot.
building
Right.
inspector look at it? The building inspector?
Should, because if we have an event and we've got 40, 50 people in this space, if there was anything that were to occur, we need to be able to exit that building. And some of the people that come can't get out as quickly as we can.
This is something that bothers me because we're like, our hands are tied spending money on the building, but we don't know what's gonna happen down in the future. It could, if we're lucky enough to ever get the senior center, it could be another 5 or 6 years. So in the meantime, are we just gonna let where we are fall to rack and ruin and we can't? put
No,
any-
we shouldn't, because it's gonna be valuable to the town if and when we find another location.
So if you had $10,000-12,000 to invest into the senior center in the next 2 weeks, what would you do?
Refrigerator, dishwasher, fix this lift.
So we've got the fridge and dishwasher, or sorry, we've got the fridge and lift, we funded
Can
them.
I ask the question? I have difficulty getting up those stairs because they're not wide enough.
Right,
Right, if there is a medical emergency on the upper level, can they even get anybody down?
I don't know if that's a structural wall. Is it a structural wall? You're talking to widen the stairway going up. I don't know if it's a structural wall or not. I'm not into building stuff.
I've had a couple of meetings, board meetings, where my people cannot get upstairs, like if you're in a wheelchair, you cannot access the upper level because you can't take a wheelchair off.
If somebody passes out up there, and you call 911 and here come these great big guys with a stretcher, they're not gonna be able to get upstairs to get the person down.
No. See, we don't want to bring in a building inspector and then find out that, we have to shut down.
I mean, that's not how it works. So you'll be,
We don't want to do that, but from my point of view, safety is a concern. And to tell people, yeah, don't go out on that back deck. And I saw the police officer the day of the veterans, and he's tall, and he exited that house. Should you go down those stairs? Because we've been told
I go down those stairs periodically, they're fine.
yeah,
in the back. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
then why are we telling people?
I'm not telling, I haven't been telling people that, and.
I've heard it more than once.
There must be a weight limit too for the deck. I don't know. I guess we were just hoping that it would pass and we
I
would.
think to Jeremy's point, though, we have 2 weeks. If we know something
Yeah.
immediate,
if you had $10,000, what would you get? Camera system?
Oh, we need that last year. I know we talked about.
Yeah.
we talked about the
We've
fire
had some,
Yeah.
we've had some theft.
Need it.
We've had some theft.
it's
That's-
safe for people.
So, yeah, and the fire department has had a lot of other capital issues that they've, been addressing and been focusing on.
It's okay, this is just a.
I don't know what these notes are gonna be after this meeting because
Don't worry.
Generally, this is not.
Yeah.
Discussion to, about the building. Camera.
Yeah, so call a vendor, get a quote, and we can, I know that I was giving the board the opportunity to talk about some stuff, but I know that's something Amy and I had talked
So you had talked about hardwired as opposed to, if we could get a simple ring in there, probably under 2,000, it's gonna be a little bit more for hardwired.
about. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we should do it right. So get a system that works, get a system that talks to the police department, and see what that would, even order of magnitude. If someone tells you it costs between $6,000 and $8,000, tell me that, and then figure out the
Good.
quote a little bit sharper with a pencil, but we'll get the funding in place so you can execute a contract in December. But I am sensitive to the fact, you're right, there's been about $1.8 million in ARPA money spent.
Sure.
8,000 of it went to the senior center.
I mean, we put off everything in the hopes that it
Yeah,
would pass. That's why we did.
And I think that's what the select board was thinking was, the hope was that there was going to be a lot of town money going in the direction of the new senior center, so.
Enthusiasm.
But,
All right, that's okay. All right.
I mean, yeah, I guess the other question I have about ARPA money is, for the additional studies that we talked about, like, I know we have to wait until town meeting because there are
Mhm.
some needs that might be urgent, and so we can't give it all away, but I don't know if that is a possibility to say, fund the architect for the next phase of the study, so that we don't have to wait
Right,
until.
and we could spend
May.
that before December 31st.
So yeah, there's $25,000 in the senior center adaptive reuse study. And so that money's there and
It's on the ballot.
untouched. And then, you don't have to spend it. There's no way you can for sure spend $25,000 between now and then.
You don't know us.
That's not what sure. It just needs to be committed to a project.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be. So, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about that before when I said.
Okay. Okay, all right, yeah. So
All right.
why didn't yeah, so you said that I'm nervous, I'll have to ask him, but yeah, okay.
No, it's just an info.
Do you know what the generator stands for? Because we have not had a generator, which really defeats the purpose of being able to assist seniors when their power goes out or we have a storm. And we've got
I mean,
20
you've got the
grand
yeah.
voted on. That was at annual town meeting in May.
Sorry, what's your,
There's money for generator. Where does the generator stand for the senior center?
the only thing I know about it is that we voted the funds on it. So do you need assist, I guess somebody, is somebody. the
Does
project
Mark do
manager?
that?
Mark Bocchino,
Mark and Dave.
yeah.
Mark and Dave.
Yeah, Mark and Dave.
They need to be booked, because it's an number.
It's, yeah.
And if it's inoperable, then you could have your heating cooling.
No.
If there's an emergency.
Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about that.
That's a Mark and Dave, I think everybody's in the project. Can't wait.
All right, well, we came up with some ideas.
Just in general terms of the budget, Jeremy and Amy, the things we need to look at is that, if there are expenses or issues that the friends, the others support to pay operational costs, they should not be in, they should not be paying.
Yeah, definitely.
They should be operationalized.
Right.
There are other things in creativity, and I'll just say this from a council of agents perspective. Things like cleaning services and volunteer. We should have that as townwide operational budget.
Yeah,
Things like fuel and oil, and I don't know if we have individual departmental budgets or operational budgets. As you go through this budget year, Amy's been flatline budget for 15 years.
yeah, so whether stuff is in a departmental budget or a central budget, there's a lot of like inertia to that. But I will say, if you are paying for your departmental budget for fuel and oil, for heating oil, and then we decide we're going to, do that centrally, the money doesn't stay with council on aging, the money leaves your budget.
Yeah, we understand it, yeah. I guess wherever we can consolidate, like cleaning services, like security cameras next year, or if there's a fee, like.
Yeah, I think those are a little bit different. I think what I was thinking was, does the Friends support like fuel for the van or something like that? Is that something?
The friends bought
Van, the Friends actually bought the van.
That's a town responsibility.
Yeah, so you bought the van, bought the van and donated it to the town, or bought the van?
Yes. Bought the van, donated to the town. The Friends came up with, two things. Mass DOT, we had a grant, and then the Friends came up with $15,000, which was our required amount to buy the van. So yes, they did that.
I think we maintain it. I know we bought tires recently in the gas.
The gas gets paid for by the town.
That's the town.
Friends did pay for tires one time.
Yeah,
And
so
we did brakes.
I want your default reaction to be to come to the town for that sort of stuff. There will be times when the town's like, sorry, that's not prioritized, and you want it done right now, and the Friends can be way quicker about that. But I don't want to put that on a community group. That's the town responsibility. So it's you bought it, donated to us, it's ours, right? The town.
Yeah.
The town as a legal entity. So we should be doing those sorts of things. So thank you, but I want your, default action to come to the town first. At least ask us to be for it first.
Yeah, and to that same point, as we look forward, we're looking at fleet management for vehicles. And your budget process of capital expenditures, which is looking at the replacement cycle for the van, be incorporated into the town budget. They're not incorporated to the Friends. Because the Friends could be donating to running programs and activities for the seniors or to the community, actually, it's not just seniors, as they do. So that needs to be added to the replacement process of capital. And I don't know how long, van may be good for another 10 years.
I don't think so.
I don't know the mileage on it. Those kind of things operationally need to get back down, not burden on Friends.
We also would like a smaller vehicle at some point that, well, we don't have to
That's right.
transport somebody with the lift, using the lift. It'd be good to have a small vehicle. The electric car through the town is difficult because oftentimes if somebody has a walker, they don't need the lift, but they have a walker, and the electric vehicle, we can use it in certain instances, and we have in the past, but I think having a smaller minivan, so to speak, would be good, something like that.
The select board put on the warrant an additional police cruiser outside of our regular cycle, and that will replace one of the detective supervisor vehicles within the police department that has kind of higher mileage. And that was then to be surplused after that, traded in, for our vehicle. But I'll have a conversation with the police chief. It's not a minivan, but it's a larger sedan than the Leaf.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's an SUV or if it's like an old Crown Vic or Taurus or something. I'm not sure. But that's an option.
And where would it be stored? We have no storage in our place. We have no storage, Amy, for a vehicle. And we'll have to think about asking for some additional personnel.
Absolutely.
I know. Okay, that's at another, that's for, no, personnel that we don't have enough staff down there.
Oh,
We don't. All right.
and Janet's gonna be leave, when
Well,
is,
that's no, the other Janet. It's Janet's
Janet.
mom, Janet.
Oh.
Janet Ahern in the kitchen.
The mother.
oh,
Tri Valley.
This is a good discussion on it, because we're now looking at the budget differently than we passed, other than, level funding, let's keep going.
Yeah, so I want level service, which is different than level funding.
Right.
And then as part of the budget discussion, saying also, these are the things I want to be doing. And it becomes bigger than level service, but at the very minimum, we should be giving you a level service budget. Not a level.
Yeah, we've done that too.
the center's been very self-sufficient
Extremely.
over time.
But it sounds like our focus really has to change now.
It does.
And keep our current building updated and what other corrections and things we could do now, to wait 5, 6, 7 years,
Yeah,
that can be good.
not for us.
Okay. Holiday schedules / staffing.
So this week, all, I think, we know that Santa Claus is leaving soon for the month of December.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Wayne Phipps. Right.
And so we have our current driver, Sean, our additional driver, Sean Forbes, will be on staff. We also have Walter Ramsey, who's been keeping up with our trainings, all of the trainings, and so I'll have him to follow on if I need to. Myself, I am looking to take off the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Janet's willing to close the center. We're probably just gonna be open for half a day. I'm gonna take a long weekend to me. And then I'm looking to take a week off over the holidays. I have vacation time to use.
Yep.
So probably not be there for the New Year's festivities. I haven't talked to Cold staff. So
We got a really party.
you can.
And everybody can bring their pet dog in. We have plenty of crutches.
So much attention.
All right.
The deck of the Titanic.
Yeah. And I haven't heard from other staff, from Janet or Julie, if anybody else needs to take, Jen usually does a large gathering for her family over, so she may take a day or two over the Christmas week, but did want to have you speak to that. I think I've talked to Peg too. It's just, it's kind of, it's weird, just, the Christmas holiday falls on a Wednesday. Okay, and New
Mhm.
Year's falls on a Wednesday. So we're, for the Christmas week, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the town offices are gonna be handling that, you know, Tuesday, Thursday. Do you have you thought of that far ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be taking some time off around Thanksgiving, around Christmas, we're not doing anything. So, has the town historically closed early on Christmas Eve?
I hope so. I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to look.
Yeah.
But I could see a demand for that.
I have yet to talk to folks.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to my board about the senior center, you know, because we have the lunch programs. Don't know how you feel about, you know, the Thursday after Christmas. I don't know how people that are gonna want to come in. You know, I'm sure everybody's gonna be here for the New Year's, the following week on the 31st. Does the board have an opinion on Christmas week? The day before, the day after?
What do the schools do?
They'll be closed.
That's closed.
Yes.
They'll be closed for school vacation.
Close, but like the day before Christmas?
I would even
It's on a
imagine if it's on a
Wednesday.
Wednesday, that they'll probably close the Friday before.
It'd be closed for 2 weeks. I don't think
You
so.
pulling it up?
I think they're probably going to school Monday and Tuesday.
Right, that's what I think.
Christmas Eve?
I don't know about
Well,
Christmas
I
Eve.
can always look at the school schedule.
Half day?
I would think half day on Wednesday and then be out.
Well, Wednesday's Christmas. Are you talking about December?
Wednesday.
Yeah. December.
We're off the 23rd, starting the 23rd.
That's Monday.
They have a half day on the 20th.
Okay, so yeah.
Friday.
You were right.
So it's gonna be what about the next week?
And then they're off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're back in school Thursday.
So they're back.
After New
This
Year's.
is gonna be.
I think at the last meeting, we talked about volunteers could maybe having like a day and having volunteers. and-
We've got the senior workers, I mean, I can
Yeah.
pose them.
I think, I don't think we should just be closed. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
That seems like too much.
Some folks depend on the socialization and actually, I don't know, lunches or stuff. I'm glad about that.
Right.
Anybody else? have
Let's
any-
go back. You said, all right, now, you're talking, you said, you're gonna be out on the 27th of November, the day before Thanksgiving,
Yes.
but Janet will close. So,
Half day.
half day. So we don't have to worry about lunches on that day because it's a Wednesday. Right, so you're concerned with December. Well, 24th is a Tuesday, that's Christmas Eve.
Just have a half a day that day and not have lunch.
Well, you could still have, you could, depending on what kind of lunch you have. You're talking about half a day being 12, half a day being 1?
If we're gonna have lunch. So far. But I guess my bigger concern was the day after Christmas.
Just Thursday.
26th.
It's also Hanukkah.
So does it start then?
Boxing Day.
Well, I don't know, like you say, what's the town hall doing? Is the town hall closing? We should
Town
be,
hall will be-
What did you say?
I was thinking, what's the town hall doing for the 24th and the 26th? We
Yeah,
should,
yeah, do they know what they're doing yet?
Yeah, it's a Thursday. Yeah, well, town hall will be open on the 26th.
but at the 24th, I'm asking.
That's what I haven't,
Okay,
I don't want to deviate too much from what people have expected. And I also don't know what some of our union contracts say. They may say there's a half day on the 24th. I'm not sure what they
well,
say.
why don't we follow suit?
Yeah, I think it got changed a little bit this last go around, but I'm not sure. I don't know if that's the half day before Thanksgiving or a half day before Christmas. I'm not sure. And what the changes. Okay, so follow what the town hall's gonna do.
Oh, I think so. I mean,
That's consistent.
And what about, is town hall open Thursday after New Year's?
Yeah.
So I'll work to make sure we have some staff you know, Julie might want some items.
Okay, before we adjourn, anybody have anything for open forum?
Well, I do. I do.
Notes are gonna be so.
You have a winner.
Yeah, you do have a winner. I still haven't forgotten that we want to talk about trying to try out some school lunches, some different type of lunches from Tri-Valley. So, you know, we're not going to discuss it today, but I'm just saying that keep that in mind. We'll have to try and see what we can work out with that. The lunches from Tri-Valley aren't necessarily
Not a big hit.
a big hit, right? We've tried by taking them out of those plastic containers that we used to get in. We put them in actual plates and napkins and things like that. Try to make it as homey as possible. But I mean, I've just heard that people, I hate to see food thrown away. I mean, I just hate to see it. And we throw away a lot of. So I don't know. Have you ever worked anywhere where there's been that? I think Bellingham, does Bellingham get their lunches from the school? Maybe we should talk to Josie.
Seniors goes over there periodically, and I think they changed something. See, I can't imagine that the high school lunches are gonna be any more appealing than, because they're geared towards children, but, you know, but worth a try, I guess.
I don't know.
Tri-Valley is not headed for seniors. We get the apples, we get the high sodium stuff. Yes, the taste of it is awful. I mean,
I don't even like the looks of it.
I know. They sit there and they push it around and.
I know, because they're there for socialization too. All right, I'm just throwing that out. Maybe in January we'll
I would
see.
love to help with that.
I'd love to have you on the committee.
So lunches you get are from Tri-Valley.
Charwell Catering out of Worcester, they do a lot of the colleges and.
You know who the, like, MURSD uses? Do they use Chartwell as well?
No idea. I don't have any young kids in the system.
Blackstone belly tack.
That's a long way to ride for the food though, isn't it? To try to keep it warm, because we'd probably have to pick it up.
Possibly.
And we've had such difficulty just trying to have lunches over there.
Yeah.
Carolyn would know, with the friends, I mean, we've tried like 4 months in a row to fall under their calendar to go have lunch there.
We have the Friends Lunch Bunch, and that's one of the spots that they enjoy going to.
They're because they're doing private functions, they're doing something in-house, they're not serving the public, so.
There's always Uber Eats.
Uber Eats.
You're not gonna get a $3 meal. All right, anyway, that's all I have to say, because it's still in my mind.
One last topic. In the discussion leading up to the votes and things, I would have been discussing the colleague, superintendent of schools.
Yeah.
And I'd like to invite her potentially to
Okay.
one of our meetings. So
You better speak up. I'm not getting what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, Ian. I've been discussing, with this off and on because of the vote, with the school committee and the superintendent of the schools. I'd like to invite her to one of our COA meetings
Sure.
and start to develop synergy between the schools and the Council on Aging and the Senior Center. Not necessarily pan, but I'd like to start to build that a little closer to. And I know,
Maybe she'd have some ideas about the food too.
I mean, just general discussion. Have
Ask
a-
her next month. Invite her next month.
Just,
December.
Yeah, why not?
and then Diane,
And I want the Clough School. Give me the Clough School and then you can build a new school.
I would invite her in December. I think that actually probably is a lot on her plate.
I don't know.
Yes, January probably would be a better.
whatever, but I just don't want to lose sight of it. We need to start to tie that relationship, because I think, when Nathan, my grandson, was involved with the pen pal, those kind of synergies were very good. And I think there's a lot more there.
Oh, yeah, we've done things with the third grade.
Yeah, sixth grade,
fourth grade, the sixth grade.
In BVT, we were doing Health Day.
I keep trying to get that back. They're just not,
I know.
since
Well,
pandemic, they're not.
But I just, I don't want to poke it.
is Dr. Fitzpatrick, is he stepping down? Does anyone know?
Yeah, he's retired.
Retiring in
At the,
June.
at the end of the school year.
Okay,
And he hasn't gotten back to me either, so don't take that personally.
all right.
I wanted to ask one question. This is going back to the meals. Obviously, I've got more interest in it than many of you. Because I serve them, but before COVID, I know they said that we would be serving 3-4 tables of feed
When we first started, we had 30 to 40 people would come.
But they were still the Tri-Valley meals.
Yep.
Okay, so has the meal quality gone down?
And those people have passed away.
But not because of the meal.
No, 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 I'm not saying it. No, that did not come out of my mouth. No,
I know you eat the meals, Amy. Has the quality of the food gone down?
You know what, the repetition, if I had my thing, the repetition is just like,
It's
and
like
so.
chicken, Tom's like, I'm not eating chicken.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Repetition of it.
And the way they cook their vegetables,
And the other vegetables are.
they're disgusting.
What would it take us to be able to prepare a little bit? We have a kitchen, we have ovens, we have.
You have to get permitted from the Board of Health. And,
Serve safe and permit.
In an apron.
I got one for every holiday.
So I know other towns, Uxbridge, had previously had a chef. I think they lost their chef. My town, Hopkinton, and I'll tell you, the lunch program's having their own chef, $65,000. Hopkinton, the Friends raised $65,000 to,
We wouldn't be able to do that without turning it into a bingo hall.
but they charge you more for the meals. They charge you more for the meals, and the meals, I think, I don't know for sure if the money from the meals goes right to the Friends, and what the Friends do, I believe, is they give the money to the town, and the town then appropriates. But I think that brings people in droves.
How many people currently on Tuesday and Thursday come?
10 to 12.
I'm lucky to serve 8 on a Thursday. Or unlucky, depending on how we do it. Yeah, I've had it down as low as 4.
Technically, we shouldn't be doing that. I had a talk with our coordinator last week, and I mean, I should be canceling 48 hours in advance.
We're supposed to have 12. We pay for 12.
Actually, she said 10 to 12. She clarified that. Tried to get that.
I think it's like a lot of communication programs too, even though we didn't look at the food, and also we didn't make the message out. Fair.
I will say the volunteers are probably the highlight of the program. And the other people that you sit in with, people that live alone. We have a lot of
Right,
people that live
right.
alone, and they-
We have wonderful volunteers, really. They sit down, they have conversations. It's not, I'm your waitress and I'm serving you. It's, tell me what's going on.
Because the tips are terrible.
And then they have me running around, got your money, got your money?
I know, but it's a donation. You have to always remember that. It's a donation.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Sorry I brought that up, but it's been on my mind.
I think one other thing, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are in the midst of Medicare open enrollment. It ends on December 7th. Actually, we've got a provider, it's going to be down at the senior center this afternoon at 1 o'clock talking about different options. This happens to be Blue Cross Blue Shield. Sometimes we have them, they're generic. This one, during this season, they can actually talk about their own products. So if you have a,
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock. If
And
you're
I
not,
know I'm not signed up, but I'd be.
please do. I know that if you're not sure about your prescription coverage going into the year, if you're not sure if you want to stay in your Medigap program, if you are looking for Medicare Advantage, which is like an HMO, today would be a good time to come or speak to one of our Shine counselors. Robert Fletcher, Chet Twizdicki, and Janet Hubner. Although I'd say Janet Hubner right now is really busy with
Fuel assistance, that's major.
They're really pushing the Medicare Advantage on TV, on the ads on TV.
Yeah.
And what they don't tell them is it's a much more controlled, you have to have referrals, you pay your co-pays to the doctors and the specialists, and they don't tell them all that. They just say, oh, you're gonna get coverage for your dental, makes it sound like it's fantastic.
I'm gonna close open forum.
That's okay. You do that.
And, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Sounds
Next
good.
meeting, December 4th. That'll be me.
Yeah.
But I think everybody should come on Thursday for lunch. And then we'll get your opinions.
what's.
I'm on a no-eat
Vicious.
Thursday.
Potato crunch fish is on the menu. for us.
No, thanks.
Oh, my face.
Fish is on the menu?
I've never seen fish.
Yeah, it's all right. And I think it's onions, carrots and peas.
Yeah, thanks.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
One of the things.
Right.
By not saying, because a lot of things, you just try to stays online.
What's going on?
Monday. Okay, what's going on is that when they get to Article 5, which I think number 5, Elena is probably going to make a statement